So have you ever been in that situation where you're trying to take on a new project and you start to think about everything that goes into it, everything you're going to need to do, and the next thing you know, you're checking Facebook or playing a video game or doing whatever you can to distract you from that feeling, that terrible feeling of overwhelm? I think we've all been there, right? Some of us more than others, of course, but it happens to the best of us where we start something, it's usually something new, although not always, and we have so much on our to-do list, or probably more likely not even written on a to-do list, that it just overwhelms us. And we end up calling it a day and stopping whatever it is we were doing, distracting ourselves, and freezing up often and just doing nothing. And there's a lot of reasons this happens, but what I want to go through here is 7 tactics you can use to get out of overwhelm and get back to doing what you should be doing. So, tactic number 1, write down your next action, step by step. Now, often the reason that we are overwhelmed is we haven't written out a general plan. So we know we need to make a website, start our branding, figure out our emails, but that's all we have written down. And of course, that's going to lead to feeling overwhelmed because there's nothing tangible there. There's no clear next actions. So the more you can break down exactly what you need to do overall, like a project plan, and then identify your next action. So let's say the project that has you overwhelmed is setting up your first website. We'll break down what you need to do, and you might have to research to figure out what those steps are, but put in that time to do the research. Figure out your next step, and your next step might be pick a hosting domain or decide on my color theme, and just do them step by step. The second tactic you can use is to vocalize and think it through, or I should better say, talk it through, because when we're thinking something through, we get in our own heads, and it's very easy for things to loop. There's something weird about vocalizing and speaking out loud that affects our body, it affects our emotions, and it can change our state of being. So whether or not your friends, your family, your roommates are going to think you're crazy, although probably none of them are around if you're in this state of overwhelm, is talk it through. Speak out loud what it is you're trying to accomplish. What is actually your end goal, and why do you feel overwhelmed? If you just do that, if you just say out loud, hey, what I'm really trying to do is get my new website up and I feel overwhelmed because blah, 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 and just address it, that will often have the keys to your solution or be the solution right there. The other thing is that speaking out loud changes your state, it changes your physiology. And as I said, you're probably not feeling the state of overwhelm if there's friends or family or people around because you're talking to them and you're social and you're not stuck in your head as much. The third tactic you can use is to stop thinking about everything. Often the reason we get overwhelmed is we have these crazy brains that think about all the different things we need to do at once. So rather than going step by step through your to-do list, we think about all the things we need to do all at once. The same thing can happen if you check your email and you have a ton of emails coming in. It just creates instant overwhelm, right? So consciously try to restrict your thinking. If you find your brain is wandering off thinking about all the details, well, I'll do this and then this, and next thing you know, you're thinking about things you'll need to do 3 months down the road, stop yourself. Consciously just say, hey, let's focus on the next task at hand, step by step, day by day. There's a saying that I love, and this is tactic number 4, is just really being aware of this and working it into your thinking. And it was brought up to me when I did motorcycle school. And the place I went to, it was just a normal training school to get your license, but the people teaching it were awesome, and they were working in all these elements of like the Navy SEALs, I think, and all these different things. And one of the things they taught us, the saying was, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I think it comes from the Navy SEALs or one of these elite army groups. And the point of it is, though, that if you try to do things too fast and you panic or you do things wrong, it will end up taking much longer to complete, right? So by slowing down and going through things a little more methodically, you'll actually get more done and get it done faster. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's probably because you have so much you're trying to do at once and you're being a little unrealistic with your time frame. So step back and think, okay, what do I need to get done and what kind of time do I need to actually do it? and then just do it step by step rather than trying to rush through everything and then ending up getting nothing done at all. So the fifth tactic to break through overwhelm is to break your pattern, is to change your state of being. So we get into these different patterns, and it's a combination of our thinking and how we're using our body. So if you're sitting at home or sitting in your office and you're just sitting there and you're thinking through all this stuff and then you're going on Facebook, you get into this pattern. So break that. Go out, leave your phone behind for God's sake, get up and go for a walk around the block for 15 minutes. So a big block. Do something to break your state. Go exercise. Maybe you were going to exercise later in the day, go earlier now. Break that state and reset. When you are in that state, the funny thing is you don't think it will make a difference. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, the thought of going for a walk to get out of that state of being overwhelmed seems stupid. Like, no, that's not going to help me. That's not going to solve anything. But it actually does, because once you start walking, you start thinking differently, your mind processes differently, and you're going to probably start to figure things out, or at the very least have a clearer headspace to then reapproach your problems and figure things out again. Now, in terms of taking a break, don't do something that stays, or I should say sticks to your same physiology. So if you're on your computer and you're feeling overwhelmed, don't say, oh, I'm going to go on YouTube, except if you come to watch my videos, that's always okay. But don't go watch a funny video, because you're not changing your body. You're still just sitting there. You're still on your computer. You have to really move, change what you're doing with your body, and that's going to have the biggest impact. The sixth tactic is to look. Now, this is not always applicable. This is not always the case, but often when we feel overwhelmed, we also get into the state of not checking things like our bank balance, our statistics, our inbox. Different sources of overwhelm we start avoiding because we don't want to deal with it. So maybe you're going through some financial ups and downs and you're in the downs part of it, and the instinct is not checking your bank balance, right? The problem with that is it ends up creating more anxiety and more overwhelm. So even if the bank balance is worse than you thought it would be, checking it is usually better for your mindset, where you check it, you say, okay, here's what I have, here's what I have to deal with, and then you can actually make a plan and get out of overwhelm and get out of uncertainty. So if there is that opportunity to kind of look and you find that you're avoiding certain things, stop avoiding them and do it, and that can actually help break through the overwhelm. Last but certainly not least is, if you feel yourself in the state of overwhelm, pick up the phone and call a friend. Don't text, don't WhatsApp. Again, text is not going to change your state. There's something about vocalizing and hearing someone's voice. Call a friend and start talking. Maybe just talking about life in general will be enough for you to break your state and get back on it. But maybe you actually need to tell them, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm dealing with this. Do you have any advice, or just talk it through? Usually they will ask you questions, and those questions will get you thinking about what's actually causing the overwhelm or what you need to get done next. And that alone can solve the problem most of the time. So that was 7 tactics for overcoming overwhelm, so you can get back to doing what is important. If you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe. I'll catch you in other videos. If you have a comment, if you have a tactic of your own that you've been able to use that has helped you break through this pattern of overwhelm, please share it below and help other people out. Other than that, I will catch you in a future video. Thanks for watching. Ciao.